Hi everyone. In the first video of this channel, I described how the ages periodically change over time and explained how we appear to be entering a new one. In this video, I'll be looking at what is happening exactly in terms of the way scientists are proposing to add a new period to our current model of geological periods. And this is having an effect on the way societies are shifting towards a more objective timescale for humanity, as opposed to the subjective periods of human history which created postmodernity. Secondly, the way we classify historical periods changed post-modernity, as we have realized that the problem with periods of human history is that they have simply been created by the shape which human societies have made in the past. And the idea of post-modernity has been found to create an illogical paradox. So we need something to supersede post-modernity, which is going to be better and more objective, and it's going to take us forward into a new understanding of the present. Hence, we can see the idea of the Anthropocene gradually evolving with the context of a shift to classifying periods of human history in terms of the geological periods in which they occurred. So, for thousands of years, scientists have been increasingly describing humans as an evolving species within the context of their environment, and there is a long history of work on the nature of the biosphere, that is the totality of all the ecosystems on Earth, which dates back centuries into the work of ancient philosophers. It comes from the Greek bios for life and sphaira for sphere. In modern times, the term was developed for the purpose of scientific research by the Austrian geologist Edward Suess in 1875, and the term ecosystem was introduced by the English botanist Arthur Tansky in the 1930s. Since the 1950s, the concept of the Anthropocene has evolved along with the Great Acceleration, which is a period of a great surge in human activity between the mid-20th century and the present, which has led to the belief that humans themselves have become a new geological period, according to the total evolution of life on Earth. Ecologist Eugene Sturmer used the term in the 1980s, and it was widely popularized by atmospheric chemist Paul J. Crutzen around the year 2000. According to the British Geological Survey, the Anthropocene is a newly proposed geological unit of time, the age of humans. The term was subsequently suggested in the year 2000 in the middle of a committee meeting by Paul Crutzen, a Nobel Prize-winning atmospheric geochemist. Shortly afterwards, a group of stratigraphers developed the Anthropocene Working Group, or AWG, which was ratified in 2008 as a formal component of the Subcommission on Quaternary Stratigraphy within the International Commission on Stratigraphy, within the International Union of Geological Sciences. It was charged with assessing whether there is a geological case for the existence of the Anthropocene. Hence, the term is officially real in the sense of its existence with the academic community, but the official acceptance of the Anthropocene is still in the form of a proposal which is currently being put together by the AWG. They have voted to put it before the International Union of Geological Sciences, or IUGS, for approval, so it looks likely to achieve acceptance, as the AWG themselves were part of the ICS, or International Commission for Stratigraphy, which is itself part of the IUGS. So just in case anyone is unfamiliar with these terms, stratigraphy is the study of the strata of the whole of the Earth's history. This includes the strata in the rocks, which we can see from the Earth's early periods, and since it has acquired an atmosphere and life evolved, these have been seen as subsequent stages of the Earth's evolution, each of which now brings its own changes to the chemical composition of the totality of what's happening on Earth. Now we can see strata in the different types of chemicals which have been deposited due to human activity in the Earth's atmosphere and on the ground, and these have changed over time. During this period, there have been several shifts in life on Earth. After the birth of life in the ocean, the first land animals arose out of the sea in the form of amphibians during the Paleozoic period about 500 million years ago. The Mesozoic, or age of reptiles, then occurred from around 250 million years ago, culminating the dinosaurs Then the Cenozoic, or the age of mammals, started around 66 million years ago. The Cenozoic is classified into three stages: the Paleogene, when mammals first emerged; the Neogene, from about 23 million years ago, when mammals and birds evolved into their current form, while the other species stayed the same. And towards the end of this period, continental drift caused the connection of North and South America, cutting off the warm Pacific Ocean currents to the Atlantic and leaving only the Gulf Stream to transfer heat to the Arctic, meaning that the global climate cooled considerably, causing the series of glacial cycles, which became known as the Quaternary period. This is from around 2.5 million years ago, and it's currently divided into two periods: the Pleistocene, during which humans evolved out of Africa and spread across the world, and then the Holocene, which is only the last 11,000 years, and it's during this period that humans evolved large civilizations. So the Holocene was then divided into three subsections by the International Union of Geological Sciences in July 2018. So this is quite recent, all these developments. They're defined according to geological evidence taken from various locations, after which the periods are named. The first of these is the Greenlandian, from 11,700 years ago to 8,200 years ago, which is a warm period. Then the North Grippian, 8,200 years ago to 4,200 years ago, is a cooling period. And then the Megalayan is 4,200 years ago to the present, which began with a global drought and correlates with the appearance of the world order, which emerged through ancient Egypt, Mesopotamia, the Medo-Persian Empire, Greece, Rome, then Christianity, Islam, the Mongols, and then the European takeover of the Americas, which created the modern periods, and the political divide between capitalism and communism, which characterized postmodernity. So these stages, we could call these the world order, or a series of new world orders, in fact, which have led to the present, and essentially represent the way human societies have developed and become a factor which has increased in terms of its impact on the planet. And now the Anthropocene is being proposed as the start of a new age to replace the Holocene, as our whole concept of human evolution becomes more precisely defined. So that is, while the Holocene period, such as the Megalayan, allows for human societies to occur in whatever way that they did, the Anthropocene seeks to go beyond that, leaving behind the Holocene as being the situation that created postmodernity, and moving beyond postmodernity, really, in terms of the way the world works. So that's what we can see from the changing structure of postmodernity today, is that it's changed significantly in relation to the way that other periods have changed, so as to constitute the fact that we're entering a new age. And this is inevitable over time, as all ages must change, but the question is really what to call it. And here really we see the concept of our geological age being the background for our evolution as we learn to see ourselves more as a species on the planet. And this is becoming a more objective scientific timeline for humanity and its evolution. So essentially what this means is that it does not really matter how we arrived in the present from a subjective standpoint, but more that we define the issues we have now in clear and objective scientific terms. So during the time when the Holocene was our current concept of society, humans went from domesticating animals to controlling them and then creating nuclear weapons, thus having the power over the whole direction of evolution of life. So that indicates that governments now need to take responsibility for that, and they are taking measures to recognize the developments which have occurred, and that includes the impact on the environment as well. We've become a significant contributor to the chemical composition of the environment, and also have come to control 60% of the mammalian biomass in the form of livestock, while ourselves comprising 36%, and wild animals are now only 4%. So in other words, the whole environmental issue is not just about global warming, but what we're talking about here is a broader shift in the whole concept of the period that we live in. And even though global warming is the most widely reported issue in the media, what we're talking about here really is the governments to take responsibility for the entire situation that we've created. I can also tell you what's actually happening inside science, as in 2016, the AWG voted on the fact that they had sufficient evidence to propose a golden spike based on the evidence of the first atomic testing on the chemical composition of the environment, and they presented this in the form of a recommendation to the International Geological Congress in August 2016, and in May 2019 voted to submit a formal proposal by 2021. However, proceedings have been delayed by the 2020 COVID pandemic. So I contacted them by email to ask what was happening, and Ian Fairchild responded, who's the Emeritus Professor at the University of Birmingham and Chair of the Herefordshire and Worcestershire Earth Heritage Trust. He said, I quote, "In order to develop a proposal, 12 geological archives are being intensively investigated at the moment, with all the results expected to be in next summer, and a proposal to the IUGS to be made by the end of 2022. This has to be then considered by the IUGS committees.